Hello everyone, Mr. Leduc here. In this video tutorial, I'm going to show you how to set up Adobe Premiere to create stop motion videos. So we are currently working on the 2D stop motion activity, and everyone should have completed taking their photographs. For this activity, to digitalize it, we will be using Adobe Premiere cs5. Now, to use cs5, you'll need to go onto the desktop, and on the desktop find the Adobe Master Collection folder, open it, launch Adobe Premiere Pro CS 5.5. The most important steps in creating your stop motion is to create a project that meets the following requirements. Location will need to be set to your thought space, and you're going to create a new folder, and this will be your Activity 5 folder. And inside Activity 5 folder, if you haven't already created it, you'll have a folder with your pictures, and then we're going to create a folder, and this will be called Adobe Premiere Files for SM for stop motion. And then select that folder. Now, I also have my folder of my pictures, and you also want to make sure that your pictures are set in order, so you may need to toggle to different views and make sure that they are in sequence, and they look pretty good. Alright, so we have the two folders set up. One folder is where all the Premiere files will be saved to. The other one, all my photos are located in order. So now back to the Premiere setup. So we just set the location. Now we will name this first name, last name, underscore, activity 5, or stop motion activity, or whatever the instructions say on the web page, and click OK. You will now be prompted to set up a sequence. A sequence is a series of images and video and audio to create one scene. For this sequence, what we'll need to do is we're just going to use a standard widescreen 48 kilohertz, and you'll notice that the frame size is 720 by 480, H for horizontal, V for vertical. The frame rate is 29.97 frames per second. I want to remind everyone that we're not working with high def video footage at this point. Alright, so widescreen 48 under DV for digital video, NTSC is the North American frequency. Go down to sequence name, and again this will be titled first name, last name, underscore, activity 5, hit OK. Now when Premiere opens, you'll see a whole bunch of different tabs. The tab on the top left, this allows you to import your media right in here, and this is your sequence. It's really important that the sequence is located there. If you notice down on the sequence, there are no sequences selected on your timeline, so what I need to do is make sure I go back up here, double click, and that will load my sequence, and then you'll notice your timeline has been initiated. To import your pictures, there are several ways of doing this. You can right click and import, or you can double click and import. Navigate to your Activity 5 folder, select the folder, don't double click to enter it, and scroll down and say import folder. Now this also works for every type of media: video, audio files, animation files. But when you're working with stop motion, there's one thing you need to do. Okay, so again, we haven't imported the pictures yet. Before you import your pictures, you need to go to Edit, and then you're going to scroll down to Preferences and select General. Preferences will allow you to modify your import settings, and what you want to do here is scroll down and find default scale to frame size, select that, so it will automatically resize all of your pictures to the size of your video. And then I also want you to set up the still image default duration from 150 to 1. So that means instead of 150 frames per picture, which is equivalent to 5 seconds, we're setting each picture up to 1 frame. And then you're going to click OK. Now proceed to importing your pictures. I'm just going to take this folder, scroll down, import folder, and it will gradually import all of the files. The best way of creating a really long stop motion is by organizing all of your pictures into separate folders, and you can call them scene 1, scene 2, and scene 3. And then when you import them as folders, and then you can simply drag and drop the folders onto a sequence. Or what you can do is you can actually add different sequences in Adobe Premiere. Alright, so now our folder has been imported, and you'll see a little arrow next to the folder icon. If you click the triangle, you'll see the images have been imported inside that folder, and then we can just close it again. What we'll need to do here is we're going to drag this folder down to your timeline, and we're going to drop it onto video track 1. So you're simply going to grab a hold and drag down to video track 1 and then release. And what will happen is you'll get this little rectangle that's formed, and if you press the plus key on your keyboard to zoom in, or you can scroll down here and zoom in this way, you'll actually see that it's a whole series of images. I'm just going to zoom in more. Remember, we set this to 1 frame, not 150 frames. On the right hand side, you should see a monitor screen set up, and if you press play, it will start to play your animation. Now, it may not look like it's playing properly yet, because what Premiere does is it just connects your files to Premiere. It doesn't actually bring embeds the files into your project. So what you need to do is something called rendering, and rendering will create a preview of your video. So when you see this red line here, the red line means that the video is not rendered. If you press enter on your keyboard, you'll get this window and it'll start to render your clip. And you'll notice as you're rendering, the clip will start turning green. And when this is done, you'll be able to preview your video, and it should be very smooth. Alright, so now that your timeline has been rendered, if we go over here, we can actually preview your animation, and it should look somewhat smooth. Let's do that again. Alright, next step. We have all of our pictures in order. It's smooth rendering. The animation is actually just over 4 seconds, which is a shorter animation than yours. And then we're going to go to File, and we're going to go down to Export, File, Export, Media. And what I'd like you to do is, let's set this up to QuickTime. And then again, this is going to be NTSC DV widescreen, which is perfect. Output name, we want to just click on this and make sure it's saving in the right location, which is in your Activity 5 folder and this Premiere folder, which is good. The name should be first name, last name underscore activity5.mov. Make sure that export video and export audio has been toggled. And then scroll down, and then what you'll need to do is hit export. And then the export process has commenced. It shouldn't take very long. Now, if you did not set up your preferences properly and each picture came in at 150 frames, this exporting part will take you probably 100 times longer. So you want to make sure that your preferences are set up correctly. Once your video has been exported, please navigate to your Activity 5 folder, go into your folder, and you will find an MOV file. Double click it, play it to see if it works. If it opens up in a non-QuickTime program, it may not play. So you may need to right click and open with, and then select QuickTime. And that's it for this tutorial.